We're getting off this island.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Backlot Banter movie review. My name is Tucker Hazel, and I'm joined, of course, by my co-host who saved my bloody corpse from a burning plane, Tanner Dykstra. And today, we are here to review the new Jared Butler movie, Plane. Nice January action release. And if you want to know our thoughts about it, hey, watch this video. But if we want to know your thoughts about it, you should share them with us in the comments. Those are down below. Or you can join our Discord. That link is at the top of the description. And while you're down there, subscribe to our channel. Or, hold on, Tanner. You should subscribe to our new channel, which as of about a few days after the posting of this video will be up. That is Backlot Banter, where all of our weekly movie reviews, our best picture reviews for the quest for the bestest, and all of our other miscellaneous movie-related content will be posted. So check that out. The link will be in the description. It'll be in the description of a couple of our other videos, but we're wanting you all to migrate over there, where all of our movie content will be stored. But Tanner, we have been joking about Plane for a while. It's a movie simply entitled Plane, about Jared Butler flying a plane, and then it crashes, and then he has to shoot some guys on an island. How do you feel about Plane?
Plane is a perfectly adequate film.
Yes.
It is, in a day or two, it may be nary a memory, nary a wisp in my mind.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm coming hot out of Plane. I just stepped off. I just stepped onto the runway, and that was a fun ride, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was fun while it lasted, but the more I think about it, the more I think maybe not. I think that it's a film that is perfectly fine as cinematic filler. It adds nothing to, as I said earlier when we came out of the theater, it adds nothing to the cinematic diet. It's just an action film with a star, with a premise, but it feels so out of its era, and there are some pretty low budget VFX shots and some pretty low budget action sequences, but then that's also balanced out by some pretty cool action sequences. It's really a mixed bag, but I think the majority of it just leans into, we have a premise and a star, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for there to be something more to Plane than it just filling this niche, but it fills that niche perfectly well. It is a crowd-pleasing movie. We had a full theater tonight, like 5 nights after Plane released, full theater for a night showing of Plane. So it goes for what it's going for, and it does totally fine at that. But yeah, it's already leaving my mind.
Yeah, it's hard to know where to start with Plane because everything is just okay about it, I feel. But I don't know. Let's start with Jerry Butler. You know, because he's. I want to say that this is like a sort of comeback for him, but I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure he's been.
Greenland. Cop Shop.
Tucker, these are great points that you're bringing up, but in some way it seems like a return to form for him because Greenland and Cop Shop, who the hell knows about those?
Yeah.
But Plane made $10 million opening weekend, had a full showing at the screen that we just went to. People are seeing Plane. And what's the factor here? What's the X factor that's getting them into Plane? Yeah,
I can't really tell, and I think that's why I'm so surprised it's doing surprisingly well for this era of film, this era of films being released into theaters and not making much money. This is doing better than it probably, as of time of recording, probably already made more money than Babylon, which is depressing for multiple reasons. But I don't know what's putting butts in seats other than maybe people were kind of missing this 90s style, just thriller action movie. Put a guy who's strong and confident into a role, into a dangerous situation, and watch him do the thing that you know he's going to do. And I think that's the thing that really sticks out to me with Plane is I haven't really seen a simple action movie like this in theaters in a long time. There's always a twist. It's Top Gun and you're in the sky. Well, never mind. Sorry. Plane takes place in the sky partially as well. Yeah. Or it's Avatar and it's sci-fi or it's superhero stuff. Yeah. They're always trying to subvert action, like add another layer of complexity onto it, but Plane is the most simple action movie I've seen in a while. And while I was watching the movie, I'm like, yeah, I can predict this entire plot from square zero, and I would not be wrong once. And the fact that it didn't subvert anything, I think, is what is disappointing to me, but also, yeah, it's what I expected.
Yeah, and Tucker, here we go. Well, I'm gonna drive past the I'm gonna drive through the surface level stuff that we have been talking about here. I'm gonna talk about something specific to the
No,
film.
no, okay, fine.
Okay, because you say that you can't predict anything or that this film is very predictable. You
Yes.
say that, but we all predicted that the co-pilot Dele, we all predicted that he was going to die. He showed that picture of his family, and we're like,
Yeah.
we all know what this means. He's
Yeah.
going to die at some point. He's gonna be the tragic third act death.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not. This is
No.
a very low body count film for the good guys, for the passengers.
Yes.
In fact, I would say two passengers die,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I
They
think
get,
there's a third. One of them gets shot like during there's a whole thing. But yeah,
yeah,
it is a very low body count movie, but it is a rated R movie, and they're dropping
yeah.
the F bomb semi frequently. But even for rated R, I really don't think it fulfilled its potential for being a
Yeah,
rated R action movie because there's some shots with blood, and there's some good amount of blood in those shots, but there's also like not that much action in this movie, all things
yeah,
considered. It's a weirdly paced movie in that as soon as you feel like it's getting starting to get going, it just jumps to the final action sequence, and then things wrap up, and everyone puts a smile on their face and goes home and wipes off the sweat off their brow, and that's
hmm
it. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about any of that.
I don't know. With plane, you're in and you're out. You know,
Yes.
you're in. That plane crashes. You get a little bit of intrigue. You get a little bit of tension when Jerry's making that phone call to his daughter. He has a daughter in this. He won't let you forget that he has a daughter, even though
Yeah.
we don't get any development from her. And then we're into it. He's in with Mike Coulter. The hostages get taken. They go to rescue the hostages. They're back on the airstrip. They're up in the air. They land. Movie's over.
Yeah, and the one thing that you forgot to mention in there, and it is a
Yeah,
pretty big part of the stakes, intention, and action of this movie, is there are bad guys in this
there are
movie.
bad guys.
The unnamed militia force that has taken over
Separatists
Jolo
and
Island.
criminals.
Exactly, yes, as they continually remind us,
Uh-huh.
that are probably the worst defined and least interesting bad guys I've ever seen in a movie. And that's maybe a little bit exaggeratory, but for a film that I paid money, well, actually, no, I didn't pay money for. We have a movie flex thing that means we don't have to
Yeah.
pay money on Tuesdays. For a film that I went to theaters for and that people paid money to go to see, I don't know if I've ever seen less defined and interesting and bad guys.
Yeah. I was hoping for a bit of charisma out of the
Yeah.
chief of this like criminal syndicate.
Hmm.
But no. That was like the one point I mentioned this to you. This is the one point where I like completely checked out of the movie and was is when he was doing his monologue about how like I kill small men and no one cares. I'm not doing a voice. This is how he talks. This is how the dialogue is written. I kill small man and no one cares. I kill big men and they pay money.
Yeah.
I believe is the direct dialogue from the
Yeah.
film, not joking. And then you're like, oh man, where's this gonna go? I don't really care. But then the mercenaries sweep in that the airline hired, and they're like the best at what they do.
Jesus
They
Christ,
are
they're so
killing
good.
guys left, right, and center. Not a single one of them dies. I
No, they don't
might
even get a
add.
scratch as far as I
No,
remember.
because in that final action sequence, the bad guys probably show up with what 20 dudes
There's a
in
good amount
like
of cars. Yeah, they've got like 8 or 9 cars full
yeah,
of
and the
guys.
mercenaries have eight dudes.
I thought it was like 4 or 5, maybe.
Maybe. But they whittle them down to at a certain point when the plane's about to take off at the very end. I turned to our friend Joe next to us. I'm like, there's like three bad guys left. They can just stick around and finish them off. It's
Yeah,
fine.
they don't need to rush. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that that's like the weird thing about the imbalanced action in this movie is there are a handful of moments that I think they don't stink out. They stick out
hmm
as reasonably well choreographed, as interesting to look at, and with some impactful moments of violence. But those are like count them on one hand in this action movie, and I think that's because the movie does so much setup for so little payoff. We spend probably over half the movie getting to the point where he releases Mike Coulter, who we have not even mentioned yet, who's a
Yeah.
big part of this movie, but not really.
He's on the
Where he
poster.
releases Mike Coulter, and the two of them are working together out in the jungle. That's less than half the movie, and that means that probably over half of the movie is just getting set up on the plane, meeting our characters. Plane is in the air, the storm, it crashes. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? All right, now let's get like what we know the movie to be
Yeah.
started. And so by that point, we have like what, two and a half action sequences,
Yeah.
and each one has maybe a moment, but for the most part, they just feel like filler to get to the ultimate goal of release the guy, take off the plane, bye bye.
Yeah. There's the quick time grapple, which I found
Yes,
somewhat interesting. I don't
that's
know if I would
pretty
call it
interesting.
like super well executed. I see what they were going for with
Yeah,
like this very in your face, you're like almost in it, but like a long take. It's sort of like the Paul Greengrass, Jason Bourne sort of action where
sure.
you're right up in it, but it's not cutting around as much. It's a simulated one take almost. And then you get them busting into the village camp where Mike Coulter grabs a sledgehammer and you're like, oh man, here we go. And then it's just kind of muted
Off
hits with
screen.
yeah with CGI blood splatter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
not a big
that's
fan of
that's
that.
part of the not fulfilling its R rating. Is that is a dangerous weapon, and he could do some pretty cool choreography with that.
He's a
But
big
he
man.
kills two guys with that maybe, and I think both of them are killed like well, one of them's on screen, but it's like not that cool, and like the sound
Yeah,
effect is actually like quieter than I expected it to be. And then he kills another guy and he like smashes his head in, but that's off. That's behind like a door frame, so you don't see
yeah.
that. And so I don't know. I'm really not sure how I feel about playing. The more I talk about it, I think it is worse than I want it to be. It is
Yeah.
a fine movie, but I think some pretty bad cinematography, lots of shaky cam that really
Terrible color grading.
yeah, and terrible color grading makes it not very interesting to look at. Poor character writing, the development of Mike Coulter's character and his relationship with Jared Butler's character could be interesting, but we only get 25 minutes of them together, if that.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends, and there's like all these plot lines of his daughter and his co-pilot's family, which is not really a plot line, just a thing that exists
Hmm.
in the ether for stakes. And the company that is not doing a great job at covering things up on the other side, and these mercenaries, they all come in and then boom, they leave, and the movie's over. And I think that's bad screenwriting.
Yeah, Tucker, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah,
But at the same time, you got to remember that
this is Plane we're talking about.
that Jerry Butler kills the main bad guy by hitting him with the plane.
Yes, and
Remember
that was
that?
cool.
He gets
Yeah.
turned into mush by the plane wheel when it's
Mm-hmm.
taken off. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
and also that there's a guy with a gigantic 50 caliber rifle that is
Oh
shooting
man.
through cars into guys and they're smashing against another car.
Yeah,
That is the best mode of action in the movie.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. We danced around talking about Jerry Butler in this movie, but he's good. He's as good as an action lead can get in one of these things. One of these movies that doesn't quite break above that
Mm-hmm.
ceiling of like this is an all-timer upper echelon action movie. He's
Yeah,
as good. He's the line. He's the bar, and he's one of the guys. He's one of our action leading men right now.
yeah.
Our 50 plus, edging on the geezer teaser sort of genre, and I think he's good enough. I think he excels in this type of film.
Yeah, and it's obviously what he enjoys doing.
Yeah,
He puts all his all into this. He's not half-assing these action
no, he's not.
sequences. He's not half-assing the grimaces that he's got on his face. He's good in this role. I just do wish that Plane had, frankly, someone who was a more distinct character that had
Yeah,
maybe that's the writing, maybe it's his
him and
performance. I don't know.
him and Mike Coulter share a couple like fun action broy lines, little
Yeah,
quips back and forth. But can I tell you one of them? I certainly could not.
no, no. Yeah, all the most memorable lines in this movie are unfortunately ones that we like laughed at. Like
Yeah.
this kid who's like, I can drive anything. Where'd that come from? Why? Who's this kid? I don't
Who are
know.
you? Who
Yeah,
are you?
very strange.
Yeah.
Oh
Anywho,
gosh.
Tucker, talk about score you're gonna give this. It sounds like it's dropped significantly since we
It's
started
it's
reviewing it.
dropping. Yeah, I walked out of the theater and I gave it a 2.5, but I 2.5 stars. But I think that needs to drop because poor cinematography, fine pacing as in it's in and out, but like weird pacing in terms of where I want the actual movie's effort to go, and poor screenwriting, poor character writing. I think this is a below average movie the more that I think about it. But
Hmm.
in the moment, it's a totally average movie. And if you aren't a film critic like we are and who's thinking about the screenwriting and how this is all paced out, you're gonna have a totally fine time. And I think that this is a film that finds a very comfortable home in the back of the mind of people who just go to movies for movies like this, or that
Mm-hmm.
find a movie like this for on sale for $3 on iTunes and they rent it for a night and they're like, that was fine, and then they
In
promptly
the
forget about
DVD
it.
bin at Walmart, for
It's like,
example.
oh my God, this is a DVD bin ass movie.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that is a great way to describe this. And that's not a compliment, in my opinion.
Nope, I don't think so either. Tucker, stop dancing around. What's your score?
I'm going to give this a 4.2 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll go a 4.9.
Yeah. Oh, well. It was a good meme. The movie's just
It
called
was a
Plane,
fun
and
meme.
that's funny, but it's kind of just a not great movie. Huh.
Yeah. As bland as the title is, I feel like it matches the movie,
It
you know.
absolutely does.
We
And
all made fun of the title for being bland, and we can all make fun of the movie in the moment, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of bland.
yeah, it's just kind of plain.
That's it. Thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Backlot Banter, new channel. See you there.
Yeah, get that cleaned up. You look like a fucking mess before that.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
now you're presentable.
Ooh, baby, I'm looking good now.